I must admit, however, that I rewrote my opening statement for today's hearing based on the tragic events in Texas. But I want to begin by recognizing the more than 36,000 employees of the FBI who protect our country from violent criminals, terrorists, and others who would mean us great harm. I want to thank everyone at the FBI for their dedication and service to the country. The FBI remains on standby to jump into action to assist their state, local, and tribal partners with investigating criminal activity. And the most recent example of this was assisting in the horrific aftermath of the shooting at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas yesterday, a shooting that has so far claimed 21 lives, 19 of them children. I, as a mother and grandmother, I can't begin to imagine the pain that these families are going through. I want to thank the FBI for sending agents in and other key staff so quickly to what I know has been a very difficult crime scene. I understand that the FBI has also made victim specialists available as part of the response, and I hope they're able to remain in this community as long as they're needed. And if this committee can provide resources to help make that happen, please let us know. I know that we don't know yet what motivated this killer. I do know that several of our colleagues have already called for better mental health screening, for enforcing laws that keep guns out of the hands of felons, and for hardening schools. I would agree with all of those recommendations. But I also think Congress needs to act to strengthen background checks and to stop allowing the sale of weapons of war. As my colleague Senator Murphy rightly pointed out yesterday, mental illness is not unique to the United States, but the devastating rate of gun violence is. We can't accept this status quo. The lives of Americans, of our children, depend on Congress being willing to enact meaningful policies to address the scope of this crisis and to keep people safe. Weapons of war enable mass shootings like the one at Robb Elementary, where we don't know the motive, and others like the shooting at Tops Market, where we know the motive all too well. People who are simply going about their everyday lives, whether it's attending religious services in Pittsburgh and Charleston, shopping at Walmart in El Paso, dancing at a nightclub in Orlando, or getting groceries in Buffalo, they were all murdered by individuals motivated by hate. The FBI's budget request of $10.8 billion includes additional resources for combating domestic terrorism and mass violence. We've discussed this topic before here in this committee, yet again and again we've witnessed white supremacists targeting others based on their race, gender, sexual orientation, or faith. Now, we're fortunate that technological progress has given us advances in medicine, science, and manufacturing, as well as improving the ease of how we can communicate with others. But unfortunately, new technologies have also allowed the rapid spread of hate, conspiracy theories, and disinformation to a wider audience, and they've allowed those with extremist views to find a community. I hesitate to call it a community because I think of community as something positive, to find others who share those extremist views. While we should be able to freely express our ideas, it should not come at the expense of someone else's life or well-being. We clearly need to find better solutions and actions to stem future violence, and I know that the FBI will be part of those solutions. Just as the FBI rapidly responds to crisis situations, I believe Congress needs to also find a way to more quickly and appropriately respond to the issue of mass violence, including those committed with firearms and domestic terrorism. I'm certainly ready to work on common sense legislation that I think the majority of Americans can support, and I'm sure that there are many of my colleagues on this committee who will join me as well. So, Director Wray, I look forward to your testimony and to the discussion today.